Today we're going to go over how to turn in paperwork going through a transaction desk. We'll start off with listing, which is the easiest to turn in if you did everything in Auth-NSign. So we'll start with that. First, you'll go to your documents folder, and then you'll have a folder for the signing for the listing agreement. Once you're in here, you can just go to each form, which was already signed and separated individually. And you can either scroll through to find the item you're looking for, or you can search, which is usually the quickest. So this is Form 1A. So we'll find that, check it, and then click Submit. Then you can go through and do each one. Most of the time you can do just a few letters or a word and find the one that you want. Some items will be in here twice. For example, the Form 17, because you'll have one signed by just the seller when you first list a property. And then once you have an offer, you'll have a second copy signed by both sides. So for now, we just check the one on the listing contract and hit submit. For some forms, it'll be just a generic name, such as the listing input, since there's several different versions for each property type. So we just call it listing input. If you just type in input, that will bring that up. Hit submit. Let's go through. The rest here. You'll also notice too, the list does get a little bit shorter each time you pick something when doing it this way. Again, the FERPTA will have one on each side, but the only time you'd ever have a mutual is if the seller is actually a foreign entity. Otherwise, both are the same. Okay, and there we go. And then lastly, if you have something to turn in and it's not a common thing that isn't already in the list that we made, you can add items yourself. Just click on the add button here in the checklist and make sure you do add checklist item. If you do add checklist, you could end up duplicating everything and have a gigantic list. So first off, you want to check the document, mandatory, and then the checklist that it's going on. Normally, unless you've created your own, this will be the only one. Go ahead and give it a name. So let's say you had an extension and then it got extended again. So now you need another 22Y. As you can see, I've already got it in my history and it will kind of, remember stuff that you've done. So we can just click on that. Second extension. And then make sure you click the review tab and then the staff review so that we can see it and approve it. And then just hit save. If the blue save button doesn't light up, then you missed one of those steps. And now if we scroll down, if you haven't changed the sort, it'll appear at the bottom. Otherwise, it'll appear at if you're sorted by mandatory, it'll appear at the bottom of the mandatory items. And now we can attach another file to it. Lastly, if you do want to clean up things that you know you aren't going to need For example, a common thing is your house is on sewer. You don't need this, any of the septic paperwork. Any forms that are optional, which means they don't say mandatory, you can select either click here and delete one at a time, or you can click several, like all the septic forms here. Then you click on the basket and click the delete. And I want to be sure, hit yes. Like I said, any mandatory items, it'll go through the motions, making it look like you're deleting them, but it won't actually delete. That's mandatory. If you do need to, for some reason, you can contact staff and you can delete that.